Is it too late for Cortland to plea?
It's like the Justin Bieber song, It's Never Too Late to Say Sorry, I think. No, I don't think it's too late. It's never too late. I've had individuals been offered pleas but turned them down in the middle of trial. I've had people offered pleas before a verdict came back. So it just depends on the case, depends on the prosecutor, depends on the actual charges. So no, it's never too late for that. He could take a plea in the middle of his case. I don't think that would happen. If he was going to take a plea, if there was going to be a deal, it would be in the middle of Melly's case.
Sources are revealing the real reason why YNW Bortland's trial is now set a week prior to YNW Melly's retrial, and it's very concerning. It was all revealed during court hearings, and that YNW Melly's trial date is now October 9th and will not be October 2nd alongside YNW Bortland's. Also in the court hearing, it would be announced YNW Melly hires new lead attorney Jamie Benjamin to replace former lead David A. Howard in the upcoming retrial. Benjamin joins the returning team of Stewart and Raven Liberty. Benjamin is a legacy criminal defense attorney with lengthy state and federal court experience in various cases. He's also won several penalty cases, which is what YNW Melly is facing, as Benjamin is also a former president of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, as YNW Melly has now fired his old attorney David A. Howard. However, the interesting part of the court hearing was this moment here, where YNW Melly announced himself that he's coming home. As YNW Melly seems very confident with his new lead lawyer, however, many believe that he shouldn't, as lawyers are now stating Melly's trial is pushed back 1 week after the start of YNW Bortland's for a specific reason, as this will give YNW Bortland a week to create a possible plea deal and snitch against YNW Melly, as moments after the YNW Melly mistrial was granted, YNW Bortland would tweet something.
Jury inquiry form. It indicates that after further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jury, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I am going to do is just declare a mistrial. The case was mistried. And again, I want to thank you very much for your time and attention. It's very much appreciated. You're free to go. Thank you, ladies.
A report would go on to share, YNW Bortland tweets a mysterious message on the same day as YNW Melly's mistrial was declared. The tweet would share, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji, as if he's kinda creating a deal. So during the entire YNW Melly trial, Melly's lawyers were playing mind games with the jury, hinting towards Bortland being the guilty one and not YNW Melly. And now YNW Bortland is subtweeting the mind games phrase. As throughout the entire Melly trial, his lawyers, especially David A. Howard, that YNW Melly just happened to fire this week, had been hinting towards YNW Bortland the entire time. Even the opening statement of David A. Howard on day 1, 15 minutes into the Melly trial, David Howard revealed that YNW Bortland was the one with powder residue on his hands.
Demon's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket. Not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
As David A. Howard is revealing that it was always YNW Bortland that had been lying to the feds, and he's also the one with powder residue on his hands, and he was the one that was last with Juvie and Sackchaser on that day. As this would not be the end of Bortland's evidence being brought up in Melly's trial either. We would then see a forensic scientist that covered the passings go into further detail about YNW Bortland having the powder residue on his hands.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of hot residue and two component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of hot residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was hot residue present on the hands.
If YNW Melly's team continues like this inside of the courtroom, Bortland might not have any other option but to snitch on YNW Melly, as they are constantly making Bortland look like the suspicious one, so he's gonna want to look out for himself and give himself immunity by snitching on Melly. The state already knows this, which is why they decided to have YNW Melly's trial a week after Bortland's, as this now gives Bortland some time to think things over, as we could see Bortland being brought into the courtroom and then given his court date of October 2nd.
Is that Cortland Henry?
Yes, sir. He's present.
That you in the back of the
Status conference.
Come on up.
And I don't know, I guess you're already trial to go to second round. No. We're set for October 3rd for trial.
You had a motion pending as well?
Yes, Judge. As the court, when we were here the last time, you let him go to church and stuff, you said about working, you would be subject to seeing the schedule. We filed a schedule for the next couple of months.
I saw that.
Be able to work. And I talked to his probation supervisor. She has no problem with him at all. She said that if he's gonna go to work, she'd like anybody has to do, provide an itinerary, where he's gonna be, how he's gonna get there, how it's gonna get done.
As lawyers would continue revealing more evidence to validate those claims, as ever since YNW Melly was originally locked up in 2018, it has been the YNW group's main priority to make Melly look innocent and not really caring much about Bortland, as even in the new lawsuit against only YNW Melly, it goes and reads, defendant 100K Track assisted Melly and Bortland with the collection and disposal of the firearm that is used to commit the crime. As if this is true that YNW Melly's manager 100K Track did dispose of the firearm, it helps out YNW Melly in his case by 100%. It also makes this interview he did with DJ Akademiks feel very off.
He built a real great solid team away from just being innocent, because he wouldn't do such a crime. He prepared himself and got a proper, defense. Their job is to handle themselves in trial, not on social media. You guys are taking it that way. If they say they got DNA in a car, I'm just gonna tell you Melly DNA was found in the car. You're gonna think, yeah, his DNA was found in the car the day of the he jumped in a car and his DNA was in the car, he did it. Okay, but you're not gonna put the fact that this was his car for 6-7 months on those documents and dockets and just automatically be like, yo, he's fried. You don't even know what the defense is. You don't even know what the rebuttal is. You don't even know why that situation occurred. You hear ballistics flying, you don't know what the defense is. You hear this, you hear that. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest.
As no firearm being found in this case does help out YNW Melly a lot, but it does nothing for YNW Bortland, as there is significant evidence proving that he was driving the vehicle. Now, YNW Melly does have some solid defenses for himself. However, all of Melly's defenses make YNW Bortland look extremely guilty, which again starts with the no firearm even being found in the case.
Why not?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay. Do you have a...
Which then leads into the testimony from YNW Melly's 6th grade best friend, Adrian Davis, as Davis would then end up giving YNW Melly an alibi, but basically saying that Bortland was the only one with Sackchaser and Juvie, as Davis would be seen saying that YNW Melly wasn't even at the scene of the crime.
Are you 100% sure that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
As Adrian Davis would reveal that YNW Melly was picked up by the members that were driving in the red vehicle located at the recording studio. He claims that YNW Melly needed to be picked up as the YNW members in the red vehicle needed somebody with house keys to let them into the YNW crib. However, what he also mentions is there's only 2 sets of house keys, one owned by YNW Melly, the other owned by Bortland. If Bortland wasn't going home, where was he?
Okay, so the only 2 people you know who had a key to the house was this young man.
Yes.
And Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon, he was in the car still asleep.
Did you see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walked in the house, it can't miss it, it's right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house?
2.
As Adrian Davis claims that he saw YNW Melly walk to the front door, open the door, and then walk straight to the bedroom. He slept for roughly an hour or 2, and then the YNW members inside of the house would begin screaming, as they have all learned what has just happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie, once again giving YNW Melly an alibi, saying that he's at the YNW crib, leaving YNW Bortland all by himself.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
What did you hear?
That second Julie.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
Did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, I think.
Adrian Davis says he saw YNW Melly inside of the house, waking up wearing a t-shirt and shorts, which in the end gives YNW Melly a strong alibi. However, it also reveals that YNW Bortland was the only one with Sack Chaser and Juvie on this night, making Bortland look even more guilty. As with rumors now circulating the internet, YNW Bortland is gonna have to snitch against YNW Melly to save himself. Weirdly enough, his interrogation interview from 2018 would then be leaked, as YNW Bortland can be heard lying to detectives for an hour straight, where he would start off mentioning the crime happened out of jealousy.
Let's talk about why. Are you having issues with anyone?
I mean, we are upcoming artists and stuff, so people like, you know, when you like start doing better than people, they start hating and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
So you had some jealousy issues?
Yeah, it's like jealousy issues, but goddamn, I haven't really been on there, but like he like, my friend that's way now, God bless, he was telling me like, right, he always telling me about how people, just like today, he was telling me some folks from up our way.
What's up your way?
Like Vero
Beach?
Like that's where I used to stay, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up there, so that's our hometown, you know what I'm saying?
So what did your friend say about from Vero Beach? What was he saying to you?
He was saying basically just like they were on like Instagram, Facebook, like sneak.
Then later in the interrogation, the officer would get straight to the point. He would ask Bortland, if you know who did this, would you tell me?
By just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And it's a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay? You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly?
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of that. I wouldn't want to be.
As YNW Bortland does not give a firm yes or no answer using his voice. Instead, he is seen shaking his head side to side. This is because if it was YNW Melly who did it, Bortland would obviously know that. So replying with just saying no with using his voice, there's a very high chance his voice would have came out at a different volume than what he's been using throughout the interrogation. This is due to him obviously lying to save YNW Melly, which would then be an obvious indicator to the police that YNW Bortland knows a lot more than what he is sharing. This would then later result in the officer wanting in-the-moment details made by YNW Bortland. The officer wanted to know if Bortland crashed into anything, did he see any faces or license plates, etc.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me, you telling me about some shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here from when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got shut out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
Even while Bortland was explaining to the officer for over an hour the actions he was making and that it was a drive-by and they need to believe him, the officer knows that he's lying. He even is seen stating he believes he knows what happened, but he doesn't even want to say it. This is due to the Jeep that they were driving in. It doesn't look like a regular vehicle that has gone through a drive-by. Sergeant Williams would reveal this after investigating the vehicle in trial. There's no way it could have been a drive-by.
Assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. All of these rounds are done. One is done at a stationary position. At a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in. The one round that has some movement in it, which is round site L here, the actually moving in that to create the little bit of a that you see there.
Okay, a lot of information in that answer, so let's break it down a little bit. You mentioned so I'm gonna zoom in on site F.
As he took note of every single hole that was inside of the car, he then used what is known as the stick method to find out how these holes were created, including the direction of where it could have came from and the angle.
Number, you said 17 outside the car. How many rounds were inside of the car?
3.
And can you exclude for Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas is coming from outside of the car?
Yes. From the driver's side back seat.
As to the shot that was Christopher Thomas, where did that come from?
Driver's side back seat.
Okay. Is it possible for there to have been 2 inside that car?
No.
Why not?
There is no time.
This all now causes YNW Melly to have a huge problem, as after Sergeant Williams was guaranteeing to the jury the crime must have happened by the person in the back left seat of the vehicle, they then called YNW Juvie's mother to the stand during trial. She had to confirm where everyone was sitting inside of the car.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the victims in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Pause it at 2:19:15. Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Mm-hmm.
And is that a yes?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Jamel.
And Jamel, is that the defendant, Jamel Demons?
Yes, ma'am.
And with the jury now hearing the crime must have happened from inside of the vehicle, YNW Juvie's mother revealing where YNW Melly was seated, we would then hear from YNW Juvie's father, as he would reveal that he believed Melly was guilty ever since the beginning.
From the day one, I believed that Melly was responsible for my son on October 26th when I first heard the story, because his explanation when I finally talked to him in Cortland on a FaceTime, their response and how they was reacting, they showed no remorse. They didn't act like they was grieving, like they lost a best friend or nothing. They was, in my opinion, they was in the best spirits. They wasn't reacting to, they act like they didn't have to take a loss at all. That's how I took it. And then when I was talking to them, I still had in the back of my mind that something's not right.